morning. Today I'm going to do something a bit different. I have spoken for the last two practices that we're going to learn Ujjayi breath, and I really wanted to show you this morning what that is and how to do it and explain the benefits. So I noticed actually in a lot of yoga classes that I've been to, both live and online, that it never really gets spoken about. And well, the breath really doesn't get spoken about too much, to be honest. But Ujjayi in particular never really gets taught. Let me turn the heater on. So it feels like a big piece of the yoga puzzle is always left on the table. And to really experience yoga and what yoga can do, I believe that you really need to use Ujjayi breath throughout your whole yoga practice, unless of course you're intentionally using a different type of breath for a specific reason. So for me, what Ujjayi does is it calms me down. So I know that it's going to do something for the central nervous system. It has like a relaxing effect, and it makes me just drop into my body and drop into like more of a spaciousness, consciousness. So I'm able to be more present and have more space between what's going on with me and what's going on with others when I'm in relationship. And if I need to do something like a presentation, or if I need to, I don't know, I'm having a stressful time with the kids in the car, I can use this breath to come back to myself, to bring my, to relax the parasympathetic nervous system, if you like, to relax that side. I say relax, what do I mean? I mean activate that side, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and the digest side, and which will then allow me to interact with my day in a much better way. So it's good for anxiety, it's good for stress, and we both know that, well, we all know that stress is linked to increased cortisol in the body. And if you're running with chronically high levels of cortisol constantly, you're going to be putting on weight unnecessarily. So this is kind of a nice passive way to really, get underneath that and to start to deepen your levels of relaxation. It's the best way I can put it. And so yeah, so stress, anxiety, if you want to maybe have a, you wake up in the night and you want to go back to sleep, it's quite a nice thing to do. Somebody said to me they were a politician actually, and I taught her this breath, and she used to use it before she had to go on stage and deliver messages to constituents and parties, and she said that really helped her. I'm just trying to think what else. It's something that you really need to experience and embody, and then you will understand what this breath can do for you. And we use it through the whole of the yoga practice, and we can even use it in our breath practice. So we can just do, so without any asana, without any postures, taking those aside, you could just literally wake up in the morning and do this as your breathing practice for the day. And it's beautiful. And it's just so underused, and I don't know why. So I feel like it's a bit of a secret. So the secret breath, but I'm going to show you. And I hope you can get it, and it takes a little while to get. It's not going to be like that. It might be for you, but some people, it takes practice, and I would highly recommend that you practice. So, okay, so with this, we're going to start on the exhale and just see if we can get that Ujjayi on the exhale. I'm just going to quickly show you, hopefully you'll be able to hear me, I'll try to do it quite loudly, what it's all about. So, That was quite a soft Ujjayi. It's early in the morning. I've only had one green tea. So I wasn't able to amplify it anymore, but hopefully that was audible. If not, I'll have to record something later. I'll pop it on so you can hear it a bit better. So if you could hear it, you would have noticed that the breath length had increased. So what happens is when we use Ujjayi, we're restricting the glottis area of we're restricting the glottis, which is kind of around here. And so by restricting that from the normal width to sort of a lesser width, when you breathe out, there's less space to breathe out and to breathe in. Sounds a bit like it would provoke anxiety, but honestly it doesn't. What happens is the breath then gets lengthened because there's less space to breathe out and to breathe in. So you can go into this beautiful long breath. And when you do that, it just becomes very meditative and very calming. Sounds a bit like the ocean. So to do that, to create that restriction in the throat, what you need to do is imagine, one way to do it is to imagine that you're steaming a mirror. And you're just simply going to imagine you have a mirror in front of you, you're going to open your mouth and you're going to breathe out as if you want that to be fogged. So you open your mouth. You notice straight away the sound of the breath is different. You breathe in through your nose. Okay, so that's easy, we've all done that. Now I'd like you to do the same thing with the mouth closed. So keep the feeling of the fogging of the mirror in the back of the throat, but just do it with the mouth closed. So effectively the breath is going to come out through the nose, but it's the same feeling in the throat. So breathe in normally through nose, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So you might, that restriction in the throat might be in and out. So just practice that. Do a few more rounds while I'm talking. If you find that you lose it, go back to steaming the mirror, but close your mouth. So go back to steaming the mirror and then the next breath, close your mouth. And then hopefully that will re-engage the glottis area. So if you just keep going for a while, it does take a little bit of time. And if you start to feel a bit lightheaded, that's completely normal. It's just a case of, getting used to it, actually. I think we put so much tension and so much restriction there when we're first trying to learn it, we can get a bit heady and all the energy gets stuck up here. But when you're doing your yoga practice and when you're using it and you're familiar with Ujjayi, you know, that's not going to happen. So hopefully you've got that now on the exhale. So it's steaming the mirror, and then doing it with the mouth closed. So obviously breathing out through the mouth, keeping the restriction. So then we need to think about the inhale. So just keep that restriction in the throat. So that this is where it can get tricky and people get a bit muddled. Maybe you'll just do it and that's great, and I hope you do. So bringing it in and out through the nose, keeping that restriction in the throat. And as you do it, you'll notice the sound of the breath starts to become more like a wave sound. And you'll notice the breath can start to become longer. Just keep going. As I'm talking, I really want you to spend the 20 minutes we've got this morning together, just to really practice that. and get that Ujjayi breath. So when we come back to the mat tomorrow or the next practice that we do, you will be able to use the Ujjayi breath for your practice, and then you'll start to deepen your practice. And at the end of the practice, you'll start to feel completely different to when you were just trying to breathe along normally using your normal breath, because that's okay, but this is going to take your practice to like a different level, a whole new level and a deeper level. And honestly, it's worth this time this morning to show you this, because it's such an important piece of the puzzle. So I'm hoping that you've got it, and if you haven't, that's fine. You need to practice, and you can always put a comment in the community board, or yeah, wherever there is comments, and just ask me any questions if you're not sure on something, or if it's not working for you. Maybe you've got a different experience, and I will, come back to you. But for now, we're going to spend the last sort of 5-10 minutes, 7 minutes, and we're just going to maybe do a little bit of movement with the breath, but really simple movement. So I'm going to keep seated. If you're lying on a mat or wherever you are at home, you can just stay where you are and just try to coordinate some movement with the breath, using Ujjayi breath. So I'm just simply going to take my arms overhead. So as always, when we take the arms up, we're going to inhale, and then bring the arms down, we're going to exhale. So think about your Ujjayi. Maybe first of all, do your steaming in the mirror. Keep going with that. And then at some point, you're going to close your mouth. Then you're going to close your mouth, exhale with that. And then you're going to inhale as well, keeping that restriction. Okay, so when you're ready, you're just going to move your arms in time with that breath. And we're going to do like 8 of these. And as you do this, you might notice now that you're using your Ujjayi breath, that you can actually get the length of the breath. Once you get good at Ujjayi, and you might already be there, you can get the length of the breath to the length of the movement, because with normal breath, it's really hard, and then you have to start moving really fast. Yeah. With this, we can still move slowly and be aware of our whole body and what's going on, and making sure that we're using all the muscle that we're supposed to be using. But we can just go into that nice meditative movement. And just having it super long. Let's go again. Just pause for a moment. So we did what, 8 breaths using Ujjayi, and just take a minute and just close the eyes and just connect and just see how you feel. Because I definitely feel a lot different to when I woke up this morning. It's almost like I've sort of sunk from here, I've sunk down to here in my body, and I feel a lot more connected. There's a lot more interconnectivity within the body, a lot more awareness, and there's a shift in the consciousness to more of a spacious awareness. And it might take you 2 breaths to do that, to have that shift. It sometimes, depending on what's going on, if I'm super busy and stressed and running around, I might need to do that breath for, it could be like half a minute before there's a switch. Or it could just be 1 or 2 breaths, So I would recommend practicing, if you can today, when you're in your car driving to work, or if I say on the train, but people might look at you a bit weird. But doesn't matter when you're doing the washing out, when you just have those kind of quiet moments to yourself, when you're just engaging, even if you're like reading something, you could just use that breath to really, first of all, to practice, but also to gift yourself that spaciousness consciousness, that real dropping into your own being, connecting with yourself. So please do that, and if you can practice today, when we come to the mat tomorrow, then you'll be in a much better position to do your yoga practice, and you'll go much deeper with your yoga. So just the last point before we finish is you would have heard me speaking about in the last 2 sessions about when we exhale, we need to pull up the pelvic floor and pull in the tummy muscles. So this is a great opportunity to just sit and link that part as well. So when we breathe, ideally in yoga, we want to breathe initially into the chest. We expand the chest and the rib cage. And then when we exhale, and this is for every breath, when we exhale, we're going to imagine that we start the breath at the pelvic floor, and it's almost like a wave coming up from the pelvic floor, so the muscles engage and they tighten, not massively, but like, it could be like 60–70%, could be less, see how you are, but there's an engagement from the sort of base chakra, if you like, all the way up. As you exhale, it's like a wave that's coming up, and then the tummy gets pulled in. So the tummy, there's like a dipping in of the tummy, and then you basically, obviously I know the diaphragm doesn't start here, it goes in here, but it's your awareness, and obviously the muscle contraction is doing that, and you can empty out the breath. So that's every breath. So inhale, chest, rib cage, exhale from the base of the pelvic floor all the way up through the tummy as like a wave of engagement. And then on the next inhale, we don't just let that part just completely go and relax. We'll keep a tiny piece of engagement on the inhale. So maybe there's like you're moving from sort of 60–70% engagement to maybe 10 or 20. Because then on the inhale, when we're moving, we still want to have that support. Yeah, so we sort of keep a little bit of engagement. So we never completely drop that. That's only in yoga. When you're walking around outside in your life off the mat, then you can relax that area. That's it's just in the yoga practice. Let's just do like maybe 4 or 5 more overhead movements, and see if we can combine the Ujjayi breath. It's going to be complicated. Ujjayi breath with the movement, and then this. That's my timer. Didn't want to overrun on Zoom today. So we're going to combine Ujjayi breath, movement, and then that engagement of the pelvic floor and the tummy muscles. So it's quite a bit there. So it's much better to practice this as we are rather than trying to do it all on the mat because then you've got the posture as well to think about. So let's go, give it a go, and it's something that you can work on today in your own time, hopefully, and when we come back to the mat, you'll be in a much better position with your yoga. So yeah, and if you want to close your eyes, then please do. And then just in your own time, you might want to start off by opening the mouth and just exhaling, like pretending you're steaming the mirror. Take a few breaths in. And then when you feel like, oh yeah, I remember that now, the engagement, you can go into your Ujjayi. And then when you're ready, you can match movement to breath, inhale. Remembering you're directing the breath to the chest. And then that exhale, you're going to pull the muscles in, pelvic floor, tummy. Go again. Inhale, chest, Ujjayi breath. Exhale, pelvic floor, tummy muscles, and moving upwards with that wave of breath as you breathe out. I can't talk very much in Ujjayi. Keep going. I'm going to do a couple more breaths. So just doing one more or two more rounds in your own time. While you're doing that, I'm just going to mention an observation that when we do that kind of directional breathing into the chest, ribs, and then the tummy muscles, if you're seated or whenever you're positioned, you'll notice that that basically creates a lengthening of the spine. So there's a support. The breath creates a support for your torso to lengthen and your spine to lengthen. So it's almost like there's less effort required to be sitting tall, to be sitting straight, and obviously in our postures to lengthen our spine because the breath is doing it for you. It's almost like you're carried by your breath. So it's less effort. So yeah, there we go. So hopefully that's useful and you've learned a new breathing technique for your yoga practice today and that you're going to carry on practicing today. Please do, and then we can bring this tomorrow into our practice. And just please, any issues, put it in the comments, or if you found that it's super easy and you can just do it, and you'd like to share that and share any experience of like how it made you feel, then please do that in the comments as well. Okay,